For the optimum experience for YuStudio, I would recommend using Google Chrome, although Firefox will do. I've often found that when you use Safari, it tends to not work quite as efficiently, but at the moment of recording, I'm sure this will change in time. So we've got our test project screen here, and at the top you can see that we've already renamed this under Untitled. We've just called it Test Project. We've also toggled autosave on. Well, you can also switch on autosave if you go over to File, and then you can see autosave can be toggled on and off here. In File, you can then create a new project, open one, save the current project, save a copy of the current project, or export the project as well. Below the title then, you can see we've got the transport bar. Rewind, stop, record, play, loop, and click. Click is another word for the metronome, and then I would always have a count in of around about 2 bars of 4 beats. You could also change the click volume. It's too loud for some. You can then lower the volume. It's quite useful too, especially when doing recordings of audio, which we'll come on to in a different video. One point to note though, if you want to record something in YuStudio, you have to press record and play together. Loop will allow you to select a section of music. So here we can then loop 4 bars, and it will then continuously loop that particular section. Coming on to the right hand side then, in the middle of the screen, we have got the beats per minute and the tempo. Tempo, higher the number, the faster the music, which is measured in beats per minute. Below here then, you've got time signatures. You can have anything from fairly standard times, 2, 4, 3, 4, 4, 4, to compound time, 6, 8, 9, 8, etc. And you can have irregular time signatures as well. At the moment, you cannot edit these for bespoke options, but to be honest, these 8 options are probably going to cover most of what your students will need. You can then also increase the swing, so if you didn't want it quite as mechanical on the beat, you can have a swing rhythm, and you can also select whether you want the subdivisions to either be in quavers or 8th notes, 16th or semiquavers, or 30 seconds, which is demi-semiquavers. To the right of the BPM then is the key. You can then select which key you would like, and at the moment you can select from around about 12 keys in the major and also in the minor. And you can see you've got here chromatic options as well. C, D flat, D, E flat, E, F, F sharp, G, A flat, A, B flat, and B. To the right of those options then, you've got 5 tabs here. One of them is the sounds. And if you click on sound, you can then have the options then to select different instruments. You can also score, and you can also use audio as well. As we go along from the instruments, you've got audio. You can then bring in some audio loops and samples that is already in YuStudio. Next to that, you've got the MIDI options. So in other words, if you were to select on one of these, you can then change particular styles and such like. You can have bespoke options that you can then bring in particular keys. And then project files, which you will either have imported or exported, can then be used. So useful if you've got a project that you want to be able to use with your class, they can then import those and then they can use those files in their project. So to the right of sounds then, you've got video. Video allows you to bring in some video tracks for scoring to short films. Again, this is where this particular browser comes in handy. And you can see the duration of each video is on the right hand side under time. And below you can see a preview of those videos. To the right then, you've got project files. Again, you can import video project files into your project. And then to the right of video on the tab, you've got keys. Now, keys allows you to be able to then press the keys on a keyboard, and then you should be able to hear them. Next is the mixer. You can see then on the right hand side that mix allows you to create and level up your tracks. Also allows you to solo and mute them. Also allows you to add effects to those, and also any effects that's shared. You can then see how those are routed. We'll come on to these in a different video. You can then change what effects you've got. You can then remove them or add in more. And then over here in the right hand side, you've got the master volume, where you can also add particular effects on the master output and change various parameters with those tracks. Next then is the setup. In the setup options, you've got audio and MIDI. You can then see that any devices that are connected to your computer will show here. And then pressing the keyboard will allow you to see that there is a MIDI signal coming from these. Playback, you can see, it says here choosing output audio devices not supported in your browser. Do not worry about that because we'll come on to those details later on. So next to setup is the help option. You can then switch this on if you want to be able to debug any issues. So, and you could also download reports that you can then send to Turanga if you have any issues there. Let's move on to the next video where we will look at how you can start and create music.